I'm going live right now, another impromptu live YouTube video. It's right now it's 8 o'clock p.m. on gonna mute that on Wednesday, March 18th. And let me go ahead and update this video title. I thought that both of my calendars were saying it was said that the new moon actually occurs on Thursday, which is true if you're looking at, UTC time, but it's actually today, Wednesday the 18th. So I've been actually so busy with clients and so busy with um I've been in a part of a lot of speaking engagements that I actually forgot that today is actually the new moon and not tomorrow. So, I must be really um new moon in Pisces. What was I also gonna call it? All right, let's say that. Know your mission. New moon in Pisces, know your mission. So, you really know that I must be super busy if I didn't even get the right dates correct when it came to this the new moon. And I love new moons. New moons are my favorite because we get to start off new. We get to start off with fresh energy. And I definitely kind of forgot there. But yeah, so everyone, hi everyone. Thanks for tuning in to either this live stream or the replay. I'm Kristen, a business astrologer and strategist for female founders and also aspiring founders. And today we're going to talk about the new moon in Pisces. Today, Wednesday, March 8th. And so I hope everyone is having a good week. Like for me, like I was just mentioning, it's been quite a busy week for me. I've been definitely taking more opportunities and having speaking engagements to anything that says we need speakers or let's chat, let's go ahead and anything. I'm like, I think about it, but I've absolutely been taking the opportunity um to just put myself out there a little bit more, speaking in to audiences that I haven't done so before, or speaking in capacities that I haven't spoken in before. And again, my apologies on the lighting. This is in the evening time, and I've asked my husband to change out this light, but I need to remind him actually that I actually do want to change out this light bulb because it casts this, well, I guess in any other way, it's going to cast this dark shadow. But so my apologies for the lighting. I really enjoy recording in the daytime. It's got the best natural lighting to record, but this is good enough. So, yeah, so this has been a pretty interesting week for me. Really, a lot of breakthroughs with clients that's just makes me feel so good that, when you give people results, like the results that they're looking for, or that it, reveals and uncovers more insights, it is such a good feeling as a business owner, especially a spiritual business owner, where you are uncovering the layers for people and helping them with their lineage, how they want to, um, in the direction that they want to take their businesses. So it's been amazing with that. Like I said, I have been sitting in I've been taking advantage of a few opportunities for speaking engagements. I just today I spoke. It's Alumni Week at my alma mater at my university, and so I spoke in two courses today virtually. But I spoke in a management course, which was a that was an undergraduate course, and then a marketing course, which was MBA students. So it was really, really fun. Um, really just talking about what your leverage is And although, those students probably are not considering entrepreneurship, maybe they are now after I've chatted with them, but it, uh, they're probably just thinking about, just using their degree to get a good job, which is absolutely fine. That's what I did when I graduated. So worked for 15 years, and probably around year 12, I started this business. So it wasn't anything that I like jumped into. I am very jealous of those who automatically knew what their business purpose was. Like, not all of us knew that, which is what I'm in the business for, is helping people embody that a bit more. So, yeah, I've been talking a lot today. And but it's been great, like talking to students and really telling them why our university actually sets them up to have the best leverage versus like a state school or any other private school in our state, in the state of Texas, simply because of the combination of courses that are required, at least for undergraduate students, to take um, in order to graduate. So, these are business students that I was talking to, but the STEM students also have these additional courses. Well, let's just say at my university, it's a Catholic university, so we had to take, I don't know what the core looks like now, but we had to take a lot of philosophy and theology courses. So that required a lot of writing, a lot of reading in disciplines that looks like it was, that it doesn't fit for if you want to be a scientist uh, or a business person or a engineer or anything like that. It looks like those courses would not, fit. But that's part of their leverage. I always talk about leverage, 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 and that is what I do, is help women monetize their leverage. So having this liberal arts education that I obtained, and that the students, specifically the undergraduate students, are obtaining, that seals the deal. I mean, they could also have their own individual leverage too, but they're going to be looking for jobs. They're going to be looking at how do they stand out in this crazy market. And I was just really honest with them about what it means, knowing your leverage, identifying what it is, how to solve problems, um, and you're doing the right thing by getting your education. But now people are saying, is it even worth it? And I always emphasize, yes, it's always worth it to get educated. And I don't trust anyone telling me you don't need an education. Like, that's danger. I'm sure I've said that before in other live streams, but I'm just going to always hound the point. So in this case, I hounded the point to students, to business students, business undergrad students, and graduate business students. So helping them really see things much differently, because when you're only looking at the job market, it's going to look bleak. But they've got to dig down deep, and like my mentor says, pull out everything out of your pockets. What are your skills that you have, and really monetize that. Like, set yourself up to be a category of one. And I actually talked about how I did that when I was working full time, and how I, essentially made my employer need me to the point where I was irreplaceable. And then, yeah, I didn't talk about me getting laid off because um, it was also at the same university, so I didn't tell that part. But by the time I got laid off, I had already built my business anyway. So you just always got to stay, I don't want to say stay a step ahead, but you've got to at least create your life so that if something does drop, then you can quickly pivot to the next thing. So that was super cool to talk to business students about these things, and specifically MBA students like me, because there were articles circling around on online, if they're not still doing that. Like, is the MBA worth it? Absolutely, it's worth it, but it's up to us to really like um, make it work for us as an individual. So we've got to really unlock, you know, thinking that the university or the degree is all that you need, that the learning stops once you've got the credentials behind your name. No, you still have to um, understand that you've got to still, you got to still show that you are how well you can make that degree work for you. So anyway, yes, today is the new moon in Pisces, and I'm not going to stay on here for very long because, like I said, I've been talking all day. I've only eaten one meal, and that was like 12 hours ago. So I'm going to have to definitely have a light dinner tonight. But I've got so many notes on this moon, but I didn't organize, I hadn't organized it. I'm like, let me just jump online right now. But um, there's just really some really good, important things to just mention that can be said really, really quickly. And so uh, we've got a lot of planets in Aries, and we've got some planets in Pisces right now. So it's really important that that any impulsivity that we have is for our benefit and not to our detriment. And um, in this new moon, I think that this is a good time to be reminded to act, to think before we act and react. And in fact, it's better to respond instead of acting. And so, as we develop more into our mission, into our purpose, and why we're here, it's a reminder to not um, expect everybody to understand our mission or the behavior that we have, the decisions that we make, because everywhere we look, someone is always trying to disturb us energetically. And that's always going to happen, especially when we're on this extreme mission of like changing the world and healing the world. And so, as spiritual business owners, we really hold that expanded energy, and we've got to be able to hold any of that that may come from others that may not understand. We just continue just to do what we came here to do. And so, as spiritual business owners, our role is to expand consciousness with relationships of all kinds, family and romantic relationships, which I'll get to that actually in a minute. But it also includes money, spirituality, business, health, and everything. Spiritual businesses is to show the celestial possibilities that are out there. And so I forgot to mention that this has also been a big week for my family because my dad actually got remarried over the weekend. So my mom passed away 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years in May. And so the fact that he got remarried to another widow, um, and so it was really big. It was really shifting, and it really didn't hit me until like last night. I mean, he got married on Saturday, and last night was what, Tuesday night or so, and just the energy shifts of, you know, like that the healing doesn't need to be verbal anymore. There's just been a shift, a new phase of his life, and the opportunities that it gives our family, the two families joining to one. Me being married to my husband, we'll make 2 years married in May, and just these different dynamics that's shifting in my family is so beautiful because you know, we can create new stories at any point in time. And this, I feel like, was symbolic of us not needing to verbally bring up a lot of the old stories to then heal, to then demand apologies and demand acknowledgement, and in order to move forward. This was a very silent, but still very strong shift in my family. Excuse me, maybe because of this new moon in Pisces spiritual aspect to this perhaps was coming around the corner, and maybe that was, just in general being in Pisces season and many planets being in Pisces. In fact, um, we've got Mercury and Mars along with the sun and moon in Pisces right now. So this is a time to really, relationships and family will be looked at a bit differently. And it's definitely been that way for my family. Um, and there's even members of my family who still are repeating old emotional emotional torture to themselves, really. Behavior that's still going on, that's been going on for as long as I've been in the family, which is my whole life. So it's just really interesting to see going in one direction. You know, my dad's moving forward, I've moved forward, and that we can now create new stories, we can create new memories. We don't have to be stuck in the delusion of the past, unless we want to, but there doesn't even need to be anything said. We just move differently now. And when I'm thinking about, that family member of mine on our side of the family who is really still stuck in how they were back in the 90s, and perhaps even before I was even born, and it's just really, um, just it let me see the fork in the road. What can come when we decide to change, and what will continue when we decide to not change anything. And so we honor each other's journeys. I honor my dad's journey. I honor my family member's journey who is still struggling in their own ways, and kind of acted out at the wedding, honestly. And, but that's, just where people are. So, again, a lot of these things will be brought up with this new moon in Pisces. And so, um, this new moon actually kind of reminds me of kind of like the energy of this new moon in Pisces kind of reminds me of being like a social justice worker or social justice warrior or whatever they call it, where you're really fighting for what you truly believe in, but it can easily really slip into delusion, force, or shaming others who don't really see things the way that you do. And then that ends up turning them off because there's no way that you're going to convince anybody of anything by force. They're just only going to go along with it so you can shut up. But so this is a time for us to remember that we are setting an example and know that your energy must be clean. I'll just go back to the example of my family member. I mean, we had a lot of family members at the wedding. There was family that came from Louisiana. There was family that came from Georgia. And so a family that I haven't seen in years. And so this other family member who was really like, um, kind of emotionally trapping themselves and kind of triggering themselves because of the expansion. Honestly, everyone has really expanded and they didn't really have as much to share. So kind of witnessing that, what I used to do, I used to kind of like speak up and say what that person needed to do. And that was perhaps the right thing for them to do, but I had to honor that they have their own journey. If they saw their behavior as a problem, they would change it if they saw it as a problem that they themselves needed to fix. So, although I am a spiritual business owner, I have a spiritual coaching, life coaching certification. Not everyone is my client. I don't need to go to bat for every single person. I need their permission in order to do so. And that is, again, another theme of this new moon. As we are to be visible and we do heal, but we heal by not forcing it. We heal by being the example. My mom used to always say this phrase, you want to make sure you leave every situation smelling like a rose, where you're not the one who ends up looking bad at all. They can't say anything negative about you. They can't pinpoint anything bad that you did or that you said. That's what that phrase means. You want to leave smelling like a rose. So, so when someone else is triggered, that's an opportunity for you to be very mindful of your own nervous system and to really, anchor down and really lock down and observe what is going on and making sure that you don't try to take on too much of their energy. That's absolutely going to happen. And so, some people just don't grow out of things. And that's what I've had to learn with this family member. And so it's just going to be an ongoing thing with them. And so, in a way, I'm kind of glad that they kind of helped train me in really understanding what the outcome is when you don't change. Even though it is hard to watch, but that's what you really have to. That's just part of the of what you see as a spiritual business owner, as a spiritualist. You look and see about the all the dynamics, the energy disruption that people are facing, the self sabotage that they do. But again, if they're not asking you, if they're not your client, that is not for you to solve. If they aren't really asking you to solve the problem, then don't do it. And so again, like I said, this moon kind of reminds me of a social justice warrior, social justice worker. And um I just in just knowing like what is the best fit for people, what is the best uh option for people. Not just doing what I want them to do, but what, given the circumstances, is the best option for healing. Um, and so it kind of actually reminds me of when I was voting in the primaries, and there was this proposition on the ballot that said, um, should weed be legal, decriminalized, and also should those who are locked up for nonviolent, drug offenses, should they be released? So I really thought about that when I went back and forth. Should I answer it? Should I not answer it? How I should answer it? Um, and so, to me, these are two very different questions that were put together. And I feel that if they were separate, I would have voted differently for them. But since they were together, you know, I I was a little confused about which one that I would select if I selected anything. And so, as a spiritual business owner, as a spiritual coach in general, not even just with business, but just a spiritual life coach, what is truly the best option here for people, for the individuals, and for society? So, what would have the best outcome for all involved? What would that be? So a lot of times, these these things aren't so cut and dry. They're not so black and white. So yes, on a soul level, we are here to create balance and to seek it out. And so, having fulfilling relationships, healing our relationships, and not losing ourselves within these relationships. And I also mean with jobs too. Jobs are relationships. Um, we still must remember or our businesses. We still must remember our individuality amongst all of that. And so we really got to ground ourselves and make sure that our identities are still intact. Um, so showing self-sufficiency, showing, healthy detachment, that will bring us the most joy during this new moon in Pisces. So, yes, while we are here to alleviate the suffering of humanity, we really need to make sure that it doesn't drain our health and vitality as we're doing this really strong work. And because this could make us really ill, doing spiritual work can make us really ill. So, really build those routines where where we aren't depleted, or that we want to quit doing the work that we need to do, even if it means taking on less clients or meeting with them, maybe cutting down the sessions from 60 minutes to maybe 50 minutes or 45 minutes. um, let's see if I had any other notes. And yeah, there was a lot of planets that were in Pisces during the last full moon in Virgo, the eclipse moon. And so, because Virgo and Pisces are opposites on the chart, so now things are kind of back in Pisces. So, Pisces, and many times you can kind of resort to victim-like behavior. And I believe I said that in the eclipse moon in Virgo. Um, so it's really important to really hold yourself accountable, build those structures that you don't go into victim-like behavior as a spiritualist, um, and that you don't push your body too hard. Exercise, keep things moving, but um, don't uh, don't let it drain you dry. Because with emotional work, you still need a strategy. And you still should prioritize your health. Prioritize what clients you take on. Um, determine how long. Whoops, sorry about that. Very loud motorcycle outside. So, determine how long that you meet with them. This generation, this new age is full of ideals and where we want to really build a better society. So we shouldn't check out from the system. That's a big thing that I keep seeing nowadays, and this is another big theme of this moon, is that we do want to kind of check out of the system, or check out from society, because we are so disgusted by what we see. But we still need to keep a healthy distance. Still need to keep it closely, but healthy, because we need to be able to know what to change and how we're best um, fit to make the change necessary. Kind of like what I mentioned in previous videos before, where, um, those that really hate capitalism are wanting to check out from it. But anyway, you can't check out from capitalism. That's the system that our country, it's not a fully 100% capitalist country, but that's the system that we're working within. And I, they haven't actually strategized a way out of it. Uh, so in my opinion, you just need to work it in your favor. Um, Work it in your favor and know what you need to do to change. It's a constant strategy. It's not just putting a tweet online or typing a post on social media. It's also about actively, what are you doing to make the change? Because you need the money to make the change. Um, and so I'm seeing so much of that in my clients, um, as they are accepting new responsibilities for themselves, as they are even changing roles with what they want to do with their business. Um, it's not fantasy, it's absolute strategy, because I've got clients who are educated in many different areas and they've done something for over a decade, almost 2 decades, but they want to be able to serve in other ways. And that's what I do. That's what I help my clients figure out. What are their skills? What other types of skills do they have that can be applied in a bunch of different areas where they can pivot their business, or perhaps create another business, or perhaps is it time to close down the business that they do have? Or what is it? How can they make more impact based on the skills that they have, um, where they can kind of float between what problems they solve and who they solve. So everything is it's limitless at this point. So that's all I have for you today. It is definitely getting a little bit late, but again, like, this has been a very pivotal moment, not just for myself, but for my loved ones and definitely for my clients as they look to solve more problems, perhaps problems of injustice, perhaps problems of um, health, perhaps problems of money, speaking, structural, um, issues, logistics issues, any and everything. There's so much there, and they're making money. They're monetizing their leverage as they need, and it's just a really beautiful moment where people are really creating opportunities for themselves, and that is hopefully something that I expressed well enough when I spoke to those two classes earlier today, those two business classes today, is that it's about creating your um your own opportunities, seeing the problems that need to be resolved, and using your traditional education for new and real world problems. So I hope that that is actually Oh, I hope that that is something that you also resonate with. So yeah, it's just after 8:30. I think now is actually the optimal time for, actually no, it was at 8:23 p.m. was the new moon in the Pisces. That's when it hit 0% visibility. So, yeah, so if anybody, I'm about to hop off, but if anyone wanted to mention anything about this new moon for them, what this means for them, what they've been feeling, anything that they've been journaling on, again, new moons are about starting fresh. New moons are about new energy, new opportunities. Uh, New starts, new beginnings. And that's why I love them. We can start over again and again and again. Well, actually, any day. But the new moons allow us that opportunity to put it on the calendar. And so I didn't get a chance. I was too busy today to sage our place. My husband and I told him since last month, we've got to sage our home uh, every month on the new moon. And so, well, maybe we're still correct because the calendar said tomorrow, and I thought it was tomorrow, but we'll do it tomorrow anyway. So yeah, that's the ritual. Those are rituals that we do for the new moon. Um, and so yeah, as we have spiritual businesses that really require energy from us, we must remember to not get triggered. We got to remember to process the emotions that come up with clients, with our personal lives, um, and be that example and teach others, as our energy really must be clean. All right, so I'm going to head out and I've also got in the description box a few offers. I've got a few one-time sessions that is linked to my website in the description box. If you really want to explore identity, if you really want to explore your business options, if you want to explore so many more things. That's all. I'm going to actually update that link. Um, so any quick one-time sessions that you want to do, and I also am launching this one-on-one 30-day offer where we build your spiritual business from scratch. We look at um, all of your skills. We look at how you communicate, how you lead, what your ideal clientele is, and we build that from scratch. We work together closely one on one, and every week, at least once a week, and you've got your business at the end of the 30-day period. And we take into account what is going on in your life currently. Uh, and what is the best fit for you right now, uh, depending on what's all going on in your life and what to be mindful of. Are you married? Do you have children? Are they young children? Are they older? Are you dating? And how does this all holistically fit? So that's pretty much what I wanted to say, and you can find everything in the description box. There's definitely something for everyone, especially business related. Um, so yes, definitely let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.